My wife has a thing about germs, but she's the sweet. My wife has serious mysophobia. She avoids physical contact like the plague. If someone accidentally bumps into her, she'll spend the next 10 minutes scrubbing the spot with an antibacterial wipe. Sound crazy, right? Before everything happened, I thought so too. I met her my freshman year of college. My roommate, Mark, one of the three stooges I lived with, had a crush on a girl at her dorm, but he was too chicken to make a move himself. So, the two dorms decided to throw a mixer. After some debate, we landed on a karaoke bar downtown. Honestly, it wasn't my scene, but my three guys practically staged a hunger strike, and I didn't want their blood on my hands. So I gave in, lost in a chorus of them calling me their savior. I was dragged to the place in a daze. We just settled into a booth when the door slid open and four girls walked in. My three idiots immediately sprang into action, each pairing off with a girl and laying on the charm. With her friends hijacked, that left Claire Sterling standing awkwardly by the door, looking like an ice sculpture. I figured I had to do something, so I got up, walked over with my best gentlemanly stride, and invited her to sit on the other side of the booth. I watched my roommates, already deep in flirty conversation with their respective dates, and it hit me. This whole thing was a setup. Claire sat beside me, radiating a do-not-approach vibe. To cut the unbearable silence, I decided I had to say something before I lost my mind. But when I turned, I found her staring at me, completely zoned out. The moment she noticed me looking, she dropped her head. In the flashing strobes of the karaoke lights, I could have sworn I saw her blush. Whatever I was about to say got stuck in my throat. Holy crap, I thought. Not to brag, but I'm campus hero material. I'm outgoing, athletic, and in good shape. In my first 2 months of college, I'd already turned down more than a dozen friend requests from upperclassmen and freshmen alike. It wasn't that I was stuck up or playing hard to get. I just hadn't felt that spark. Besides, I was raised to be a one-woman man. I've always kept a respectful distance from girls I wasn't interested in. No leading people on. It's about respect, and it meant that when I finally met the right woman, I could look her in the eye and say, hey, you're my first and only. How could she not be moved by that? At least, that's how I saw it. And now, looking at her, the faint pink on her cheeks, her hands nervously twisting in her lap, something shifted. I wanted to know this girl. But the deafening music and the rowdy shouts of my friends made our quiet corner feel like a different universe. She kept frowning, and I guess she hated this place as much as I did. I pulled out my phone and typed a message. It's way too loud in here. Want to wait for them outside? Taking a deep breath, I held the screen out for her to see. She read it carefully, glanced at her friends, and then nodded. Claire got up and headed for the door. I walked over to the console and hit pause on the music. Hey, Claire and I are going to wait outside, I announced. I hit play again, and under the weight of 6 knowing smirks, we escaped. The moment the door closed behind us, the silence was a relief. I saw Claire standing a few feet ahead and caught up to her. There's a decent coffee shop across the street, I said. It's quiet. We could wait for them there. She nodded, whispered a soft, okay, and walked toward the elevator. Just as I was about to follow, my phone buzzed. It was a voice memo from Ben, Stooge #3. Claire was already at the elevator, which was on the first floor, and we were on the 4th, so I figured I had a second. I pressed play. A girl's voice, bubbly and bright, came through. Hey, Leo, take good care of our ice queen, okay? Just a heads up, she's a major germaphobe. You're better off not touching her, or she'll hate you forever. I pursed my lips and locked my phone. The elevator dinged, and the doors opened. We stepped in, one after the other. It was empty. She stood in the back right corner, and I instinctively took the front left. It was partly my habit of keeping a distance, and partly because the control panel was there. I pressed the button for the first floor, shoved my hands in my pockets, and stared at the changing numbers, the voice memo replaying in my head. When the doors opened, I told her to wait a second. I darted into the convenience store next door and, on a whim, bought a pack of wet wipes, stuffing them in my pocket. I walked back to her side, acting casual. All right, let's go. It's just across the street. In the coffee shop, I pulled out a chair for her, then took out a wipe and cleaned the seat and table in front of it before gesturing for her to sit. Claire froze for a second, then murmured, thank you, and sat down. We ordered our coffees from the waitress and fell back into silence. Idiot, I chided myself. You haven't even introduced yourself. Hey, I'm Leo Vance, I said, breaking the quiet. Finance major. Claire looked up a little shy. Hi, I'm Claire Sterling. Business management. She immediately looked down again, and this time, under the bright lights of the cafe, I saw it clearly. Two perfect blush pink roses blooming on her cheeks. It was the first time I'd ever really looked at a girl, and I was captivated. Her delicate, oval face was like a newly blossomed peach, exquisite and intoxicating. Her long hair fell like a dark waterfall, and her beautiful eyes were like black pearls shimmering underwater. Looking at her, my heart started to beat faster. She was everything I'd ever found beautiful, hitting me right in the chest. Wow, Mom, I think I'm in love. Wait a minute. Wasn't she supposed to be an ice queen? Had my raw, untamed charisma already melted her? I started talking, throwing out any topic I could think of, funny stories about classmates, the disastrous love lives of my roommates. Slowly, she started opening up, even lifting her head to meet my gaze. When I said something funny, she'd cover her mouth, her eyes crinkling into beautiful crescents. And I knew, right then, that I was done for. I was going to be wrapped around her finger for the rest of my life. We had an hour until the dorms locked up, and I figured our friends would be down soon. Taking a leap of faith, I asked, Can I ask you out again? Just the two of us. I rushed to add, I wanted to thank you for talking with me tonight. I had a really great time. So, maybe you'd let me take you to dinner? I was braced for rejection. An ice queen wasn't going to be an easy get. Okay, I had a great time too. What? The word slipped out before I could stop it, my shock playing on my face. My stare made her cheeks flush again. She looked down, her voice a soft murmur. I said yes. Maybe we should exchange numbers? To make it easier to connect. I was so excited I practically fumbled my phone. Yeah, let me scan your code. After we added each other, we both stared down at our phones. Her username was just Claire. I changed her contact name to Siren. It fit. She'd stolen my soul on day one. Before long, the rest of our group stumbled out of the bar. I hailed 2 Ubers, and we made it back to the dorms with 5 minutes to spare before lockdown. Lying in bed, I couldn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Claire smile, the way her eyes lit up. Frustrated, I grabbed my phone, went out to the balcony, and lit a cigarette, taking a long drag. I stared at the chat window for Siren. After a long internal battle, I gave in and typed, Are you free tomorrow? I'll treat you to a feast. She replied instantly, I am. Text me after class. The next day, I booked a table at a nice restaurant and stopped by a flower shop for a huge bouquet of pink roses. At the restaurant, she accepted the flowers with a radiant smile, bringing them to her nose to breathe in the scent. She looked up at me. Are you trying to win me over, Leo? I didn't play coy. I just nodded. She laughed. Well, you're going to have to try hard. Dinner was amazing. The only problem was that every time she leaned forward to eat, her long hair would fall on her face, and she'd have to use one hand to hold it back. That was the beginning. I started asking her out all the time, and from that day on, I always wore a hair tie on my wrist. Before every meal, I'd hand it to her so she could tie back her hair. When we were done, she'd give it back. She told me to keep it on my wrist, so it would always be there when she needed it. I didn't know at the time, but for a guy to wear a hair tie like that meant he was taken. The first time she treated me to dinner was near the end of our first semester. I was in my dorm room, packing to go home for the break. Not that I had much to pack. My family lived in Boston, but I chose to live on campus to escape my mom's constant nagging. I was just about to put the last shirt in my suitcase when a text from Claire came in. You've treated me so many times. Before we leave for break, it's my turn. Meet me at Nocturne Grill. I was ecstatic. I forgot all about packing. I grabbed the hair tie, my pack of wipes, my cigarettes, and my phone. I saw the elegant hair stick I'd bought on my desk, hesitated for a second, then stuffed it in my pocket. Never hurts to be prepared. Nocturne Grill was a fancy steakhouse not far from campus. As soon as I walked in, Claire spotted me and waved. I smiled and waved back. As I got closer, I saw she was sitting with 2 other girls. Her friends, I guessed. I felt a little awkward, like I'd been caught. Seeing me hesitate, Claire patted the empty seat next to her. Sit down. You're not the waiter. Why are you just standing there? All right. Okay. The awkwardness intensified. It was a booth, and I slid in, careful to sit on the very edge of the seat. After the waiter took our orders, the 3 of them launched into conversation. I'd barely spoken to any girls besides Claire, so I just sat quietly and listened. Thankfully, the food arrived quickly. I reflexively took the hair tie off my wrist and handed it to her. She glanced at it, then picked up her knife and fork, turned her back to me, and said, "My hands are full. Can you help me?" I froze, hair tie in hand. I wanted to help, but that meant touching her. What if I accidentally brushed against her skin and she got upset? I had seen it happen myself. The last time we got bubble tea, the cashier had accidentally touched the back of her hand, and she'd frowned and wiped it with a wet wipe for what felt like an eternity. "Hurry up," she urged, not turning around. "The food's getting cold." To hell with it. I made up my mind. I reached out, carefully gathering her silky hair and securing it with the tie. I let go, and she straightened up, shaking her head. But because of the large hood on her coat, her hair slipped forward again. She gave me an innocent, helpless look. I sighed and motioned for her to turn around again. This time, I took off the hair tie, pulled the hair stick from my pocket, and expertly twisted her hair into an elegant bun, securing it. I patted it gently to make sure it would hold. She reached up, feeling the bun, and her face lit up. "You know how to do this? Quick, take a picture. I want to see." I took a picture of the back of her head with my phone and showed it to her. Her eyes sparkled. She gushed about how good it looked, how beautiful the hair stick was. Her friends chimed in, praising my skills and my taste. I finally relaxed. I took the steak she was looking at in the photo, which I'd already cut for her, and swapped it with her uncut one. She beamed and whispered, "Thank you." The rest of the meal passed with them chatting and me occasionally chiming in with a smile. After we finished, her friends said they were going shopping and left. When the check came, Claire threatened me with, "If you don't let me pay, I'm never going out with you again." I surrendered. It was cold for a Boston winter. We bundled up in our scarves before heading out. A light snow had started to fall. She pulled up the hood of her coat and asked if I wanted to go for a walk. I readily agreed. We strolled down the street, making small talk. A question popped into my head. "Claire, why does everyone call you an ice queen? I get the queen part, but you don't seem that icy to me." It was true. Anyone on campus who mentioned Claire Sterling said she was cold and unapproachable. But aside from that first night at the karaoke bar, she was always smiling, her face occasionally blushing. Nothing about her screamed, "Ice Queen." She tilted her head, thinking. In high school, a lot of guys tried to ask me out, she said. I wasn't interested in any of them, but as soon as I turned one down, another one would pop up. It was exhausting. So, in college, I decided to act cold. It definitely kept people away. So that's it. I couldn't hide the huge grin on my face. I practically wanted to do a little dance. The other meaning of her words was clear. She rejected guys she didn't like on the spot and put on a cold front to keep others away. But when I told her I wanted to pursue her on our first real date, she just told me to try my best. And I've been getting closer and closer, even doing her hair. Did this mean she liked me too? After all this time together, I knew it wasn't just about her looks anymore. I loved her personality, the way she saw the world. I stepped in front of her, stopping her in her tracks. I reached into my collar, pulled out the chain I wore, and slipped the ring off it. I held it out and dropped to one knee. Claire, I like you since the first moment I saw you. I'll admit, at first, it was just because you were beautiful. But as I got to know you, I fell for your personality, your smile. Every single second I'm with you makes me happy. So, I was wondering if I could have the honor. If you would, be my girlfriend. I finished, looking into her eyes, the hand holding the ring trembling slightly. Claire reached out and gently brushed the snow from my hair. She took the ring, closed it in her palm, and leaned in close, her eyes locked on mine with an intense seriousness. I'll be your girlfriend, she said, but today feels a little sudden, a little rushed. I'll keep the ring for now. When you're ready for the real thing, you can put it on my finger. She straightened up. I said yes. Aren't you going to get up, my boy, friend? Hearing her say yes was a jolt of pure ecstasy. I placed my right hand over my heart and bowed my head in a knight's salute. As you command, Your Highness. Claire stepped forward and linked her arm through mine. I instinctively tried to pull away. Your germ thing. She tightened her grip. We got layers on, it's fine. Besides, she added, when it comes to you, my phobia, it just doesn't seem to kick in, mentally or physically. What, you don't like me being close? Or is there something wrong with you? No, I don't. You're talking crazy. I was just worried you wouldn't be comfortable. If you're okay with it, hell, If you want me in your bed right now, I swear I'd be naked in under a minute, or you can call me senile. Claire burst out laughing. You want me to sleep with you? You'll have to work for it. You're still on probation, you know? Not a full-time employee yet. We'll see after you're official. If I'm in a good mood, maybe I'll pick your card. Understood, ma'am. And just like that, teasing each other, we walked back toward campus. Under the dorm lights, I noticed the snowflakes dusting her hood and brushed them off. If we're covered in the same snow, does that mean we'll grow old together? She rolled her eyes. You and your cheesy lines. A freshman, and you're already thinking about your PhD dissertation. I roll my eyes back. You have no appreciation for romance. At that, she raised a small fist, pretending to punch me. I threw my hands up in surrender. I was wrong. My Claire is the most romantic, a goddess of passion. You're ridiculous. Then she told me she was going home tomorrow and wouldn't be back until the new semester started. Before she went upstairs, she made me promise to keep my phone on 24/7 and to think of her. Of course I would. Over the break, we were constantly in touch, sharing funny stories, complaining about relatives. Time flew, and soon the new semester began. As they say, absence makes the heart grow fonder. We were more inseparable than ever. The campus confession pages were filled with pictures of us, much to the chagrin of our secret admirers. Suddenly, it was April, a very special day, Claire's birthday. After a loud and lively celebration with a group of friends, it was just the two of us walking hand in hand through an amusement park. Why an amusement park? It was my idea. I'd spent the entire day setting up a surprise here. Leo, it's your girlfriend's birthday, you know, and you haven't gotten me anything. I'm not happy, Claire said, stopping abruptly, pouting with her hands on her hips. Oh, baby, don't be mad. I've just been so busy I forgot. How about we ride the Ferris wheel tonight to make up for it? And I'll get you a real present tomorrow. Please, I pleaded, clasping my hands together. I don't know what to do with you. Forgetting your girlfriend's birthday. Oomph. I stroked her hair. I promise this is the last time. Stroking her hair and her linking her arm with mine were the limits of our physical contact so far. Not because she set those limits, but because I was too afraid to try for more. Every time I saw her frowning as she scrubbed her hands after an accidental touch, my heart would ache. Fine, I'll forgive you this time. You should be grateful for my immense generosity, she said, linking her arm through mine again as we walked toward the Ferris wheel. But I still caught a flicker of disappointment on her face. It was still cool in Boston in April, so we both had hoodies on, and I let her hold onto my arm. How could I forget her birthday? The surprise was just around the next corner. As we rounded the corner, a handsome guy walked toward us, holding a single red rose. He stopped, handed the rose to me, and said to Claire, "Happy birthday, Miss Sterling. I hope every day is filled with happiness for you, and that you and Mr. Vance have a long and happy life together." Then he walked past us. I took Claire's purse from her and placed the rose in her hand. Her eyes lit up. You planned this? Is it just the one? I didn't say anything, just gestured forward with a flourish. On the walk to the Ferris wheel, every few dozen feet, another person would appear, hand us a rose, and offer their own improvised birthday wishes. By the time we reached the ride, both of our arms were overflowing with flowers. She stood before me, her face glowing with happiness. I knew you wouldn't forget. You're too thoughtful for that. So how many are there? I handed my bundle of roses to an attendant, then took hers and passed them to another before answering with a smile. Do you remember what the first person said to you? She thought for a moment, then gasped, covering her mouth. Don't tell me there are 99 of them. I nodded and offered her my arm. Come on, time for the next part. She took my arm, and we stepped into our own private car on the Ferris wheel. The door closed, and the machine began to turn. She asked excitedly when I planned all this. I told her I'd started a week ago. Her eyes filled with that same blissful light, and she gently rested her head on my shoulder. When our car reached the very top, the wheel paused. Claire looked out at the glittering city lights, her eyes shining. It's so beautiful. I've never seen the city like this before. All those lights. It feels so warm. I stood behind her, my voice full of conviction. Among all those lights, I promise you, one day there will be one that belongs to us. I checked my watch. It was about time. Ready for something even more beautiful? As the words left my mouth, a series of booms echoed around us. and the sky exploded with fireworks. The night was a canvas, and the vibrant colors painted a breathtaking picture. After a moment, she noticed I was quiet. She turned around to see me on one knee again, holding a small, open ring box. Inside was a diamond ring. Claire Sterling, I began, my voice nearly a shout to be heard over the fireworks. I know it might be a little early to say this, but I have to. You're the one person I want to show off to the entire world, but also the one I can't bear to share with anyone. To the world, you may be one person, but to me, you are the world. The thought of spending the rest of my life with you fills me with so much hope. I know, your phobia keeps us from being closer, but I will still be your knight, protecting you always. So, will you marry me? Claire just watched me, a smile slowly spreading across her face. Then, the smile wavered, and tears welled in her eyes. She held out her right hand. I took the ring and carefully slid it onto her middle finger. After she helped me up, she looked at the ring on her hand and brought it to her lips for a soft kiss. Then, she reached into her purse and pulled out another ring box. Inside were 2 rings, a man's diamond band and the simple ring I had given her when I first asked her out. She took out the diamond band, closed the box, and put it back in her purse. She took my hand and slid the ring onto my finger. I was still in shock when she wrapped her arms around my waist, hugging me tight. She whispered, "You are my knight, and this is your medal. You are my future husband, and this means you are my one and only. My phobia can't keep us apart." She finished, lifted her head, and closed her eyes. I came back to my senses. Looking at her face, I felt a lump form in my throat. The feast was served. There was no reason not to eat. I pressed my lips to hers. I felt her body tense at first, slowly relax in my arms, and I held her steady. We only pulled apart when the Ferris wheel started moving again. In the light of the last exploding firework, I saw her flushed face. I leaned down and kissed her forehead. She burrowed shyly into my chest. We held each other in silence, neither of us wanting to break the sweet moment. We walked out of the car hand in hand, and the attendant handed us the roses, now beautifully wrapped into one enormous bouquet. Later, in the hotel room, I lay on the bed, clean from shower, looking at the roses on the nightstand and listening to the sound of Claire showering in the bathroom. It all felt surreal. After the park, we'd checked the time and realized we were locked out of the dorms, so we ended up getting a room. 20 years old, and I was about to share a bed with a girl for the first time, and it was the girl I loved. I was a nervous, excited wreck. As I was lost in thought, Claire walked out of the bathroom, wrapped in nothing but a towel. I looked up and was mesmerized. So much of her smooth, perfect skin was exposed, her arms crossed over her chest. Seeing my expression, she hurried to the bed, pulled back the covers, and dove in, leaving only her head peeking out. "You'd better wipe that drool off your face." I instinctively wiped my mouth. It was dry. There was no drool. The little devil had tricked me. She giggled, delighted with herself. "Oh, she thinks it's funny?" I reached over and, with a flick of my wrist, turned off the lights, then slid over to her. I slipped my arm under her neck and rested it on her shoulder. I was planning on just holding her like that while we slept. Claire stiffened for a second, then wrapped her arm around me, too, her lips close to my ear. "Leo, my love," she whispered. "You'll love me forever and ever, right?" I tightened my hold on her, my voice full of sincerity. "I will always love you. If our love is separated by mountains and seas, I will tear down the mountains and part the seas. As your knight, I will always protect you." You promised, Leo. No matter who we become, what our status is, or who tries to stand in our way, we will always choose each other. Because I really, really love you. And you're the only one who makes my phobia disappear. Claire, I promise you, no matter who you are, you're the only one for me for the rest of my life. I won't let you down. I murmured, my hand starting to wander. We were both new to this. A moment later, with a soft cry of pain from Claire, she was completely mine, heart and body. The next day, we woke up around noon. Looking at the beautiful girl in my arms, I couldn't help but lean in for a kiss. "Tommy, get up. It's almost lunchtime. You must be starving." It seemed that after last night, she was less shy. She sat up without a second thought, unconcerned by her nakedness. "Ouch, that hurts." I sat up, alarmed. "What's wrong?" She poked me with a slender finger, a playful scowl on her face. "It's your fault. It was my first time, and you had no idea how to be gentle. Oof. I apologized profusely and told her to rest a little longer. I grabbed her phone. You're in no shape to go back to campus. It's the weekend. Let's just stay here another day. I'll text your roommate, Amelia, and ask her to tell your professor you'll miss class tomorrow morning. I'll go grab us some food and extend the room. What's your passcode? After she told me, I sent the text. Amelia replied with a quick, okay. I handed the phone back to her. What do you want to eat? I asked as I got dressed. I'll go get it. You just stay here and rest. I took her order, went downstairs to extend our stay, and then went out to get food. After lunch, we took a nap. In the evening, Claire insisted on going out for a walk, saying she was getting stir-crazy. I couldn't say no. We found a restaurant, and after dinner, as we were strolling down the street, she had an idea. Babe, let's make it official. Okay. I wrapped my left arm around her and held up my phone with my right. She pulled my left hand down and intertwined her fingers with mine, showing off our rings. Head closer, she directed. Phone higher. Under her command, our first official couple photo was born. I sent it to her, and we both updated our Instagrams at the same time. Photo of their intertwined hands with rings, smiling faces in the background caption. Official. He's mine. Isn't he handsome? Mr. Vance, here's to the rest of our lives. Same photo caption. Official. She's mine. Isn't she gorgeous? Ms. Sterling, here's to the rest of our lives. A few steps later, Claire stopped, complaining she couldn't walk anymore. I had no choice but to crouch down in front of her. As soon as I did, she leaped on my back like a butterfly. I grabbed her legs, stood up, and gave her a little bounce. She wrapped one arm around my neck and pointed forward with the other. Onward. Under the dim, yellow streetlights, our shadow stretched out before us. Claire chattered away on my back, and I answered every word. When we got back to the hotel, our phones had blown up. Everyone was asking about our posts. Both our parents were demanding to meet the other person. We talked it over and decided to wait until after graduation to do formal introductions. Claire pointed out that I wasn't even legal to marry yet, the legal age being 22 for men and 20 for women in some contexts she'd read about. By the time we graduated, I'd be 22. If our parents didn't approve, she said she'd steal her birth certificate and we'd elope. I told her not to worry. I would definitely win over my future in-laws. Time flew by. The monotony of studying was broken up by our love, and soon junior year was over. Senior year meant internships. Claire told me she was interning at Sterling Corporation in Boston and wanted me to join her. When I told her I'd be at Vance Industries, she didn't push. While Sterling Corp was a top 10 company in Boston, it couldn't compare to Vance Industries, which was second only to the behemoth Shaw Enterprises. I looked it up on a map. The two companies were only 5 or 6 subway stops apart. So, we decided to get our own apartment. We were going to live together. Although we'd been staying over at hotels pretty regularly since that first night, the thought of actually living together was incredibly exciting. It's in the small, everyday moments of living together that you either become inseparable or realize you can't stand each other. We were both confident it would only make us stronger. We felt like we were made for each other. It took a while, but we found the perfect place in a high-end apartment building next to a park. The layout was great, with a north-south exposure that let in tons of light. It was fully furnished, move-in ready. We paid a year's rent up front and move-in that day. The previous owner was clearly meticulous. The place was spotless, but we still did a light cleaning. We had to be at work the next day, so we didn't overdo it and went to bed early. Standing in front of the Vance Industries building, I couldn't help but feel how fast time had gone. The last time I was here, I was in 6th grade. I was bored during summer break, and my older brother, who was interning here, brought me along for a day. As for why both of us ended up interning here, I should probably explain. My name is Leo Vance. My dad is the chairman of Vance Industries. He has 2 sons. My brother and I are half-brothers. His mother died in a car accident when he was 3. Later, my dad married my mom, and they had me. My brother is a full 10 years older than me, but we've always been close. No battle for the family fortune drama here. The reason my last name is Vance is complicated. I'm actually a Shaw on my mother's side. Shaw Enterprises, the #1 company in Boston, is the family business. My grandfather passed away early, leaving the company to his children, my mother and my uncle. But my uncle died of an illness before he could marry, leaving a will that stipulated my mother's child must carry the Shaw name to continue the family line. Shaw Enterprises was to be managed by my mother until I got married, at which point it would pass to me. Technically, my legal name is Leo Shaw Vance, but I go by Vance. So yeah, I'm loaded. For my safety, very few people know my true identity. I hadn't told Claire either. I didn't know her family background, and I was worried people would call her a gold digger. My plan was to set her up with her own company after her internship, so she could build her own success, and no one could say a thing. I was lounging on the sofa in the vice president's office, texting with Claire. Oh, right. I was the intern VP. I didn't have to do anything unless my brother, the CEO, or my dad, the chairman, gave me a task. Claire said things were going well on her end. Her colleagues were nice, but a few of the old-timers seemed like they were looking for trouble. That set me off. Someone was bullying my girl? I was about to make a few calls and tank sterling stock for a day or two, but Claire texted me that she could handle it. I backed down, but told her to let me know if she needed anything. I had ways of helping. She sent back a cute okay emoji. Just then, my brother, Alex, walked in and plopped down next to me. Texting your girl? Yup. What's up? It's been this long, and you haven't brought her home to meet everyone. The time's not right. From the looks of it, you haven't told her who you are, have you? Nope. With our family's money. I'm afraid she'd think I was some kind of con artist. Alex chuckled. That's fair. There aren't many guys in Boston richer than you. Dad and I are basically riding your coattails. He paused. So, I take it you don't know who she is either? From your tone, I'm guessing you do. I don't, but your sister-in-law does. She recognized her from the first picture you posted on Instagram. And you're just telling me now? She hasn't said anything herself. Isn't it more fun for you to find out on your own? He stood up. This weekend, we're all having dinner at the Imperial Kitchen. Dad has a surprise for you. He was gone before I could refuse. After Alex left, I lay on the sofa, processing the new information. First, my family knew who Claire was, but they hadn't told me, and they were talking about a surprise. Second, from Alex's tone, it seemed they had already accepted Claire as their future daughter-in-law. Third, Alex and his wife, Sarah, had an arranged marriage, but they were happy and had given me a little niece. To have an arranged marriage with Vance Industries, Sarah's family had to be influential. If Sarah knew Claire, then Claire had to be from her circle, the world of the rich and powerful. I looked at the diamond ring on my finger. I should have guessed. What normal college student could casually buy a diamond ring? Then I thought, how did Claire get an internship at Sterling Corp before she even graduated? I could intern at Vance Industries because my family owned it. Claire's last name was Sterling. Could she be related to a senior executive? Or, to be more daring, could she be the CEO's daughter? It wouldn't be hard to find out. A quick background check would do it. But I trusted Claire. I knew she'd tell me when she was ready. I pushed the thoughts aside, lit a cigarette, and picked up a random report from the pile my mother had sent over that morning. At 4:30 p.m., I tossed the file aside, grabbed my phone and cigarettes, and got ready to leave. First day on the job and leaving early. The perks of being the boss's brother. I stopped at the market to buy Claire's favorite ingredients and went home to cook. When she walked in around 5:30, I was just putting the last dish on the table. A simple meal of 2 dishes and a soup. Any more would be wasteful, something neither of us could stand. After dinner, I sat on the couch, looking at a group chat with our old dorm mates. Everyone but Claire and me was sharing stories about their internships. Claire was lying with her head in my lap, looking at the chat too, typing and deleting messages over and over. Finally, she tossed her phone aside, sat up on my lap, and wrapped her arms around my neck, pouting. Babe, my dad wants me to have dinner with the family this weekend. I don't want to go, but he said I'd regret it if I didn't. She buried her head in my chest. What do I do? I just want to be with you after work. Her eyes suddenly lit up. Hey, why don't you come with me? You have to meet them sooner or later. I held her steady. I can't. As much as I'd love to, my family ambushed me with a mandatory dinner. Same night. I promised. I'll try to finish up early and come pick you up. That weekend, Alex ducked out of work at 3 p.m., cornered me in his office to remind me about dinner, and then disappeared. I had just lit a cigarette when his secretary came in with a stack of files. She wasn't surprised to see me in the CEO's chair. She pulled a document from the pile, opened it, and placed it in front of me. Mr. Vance, this needs your signature here and here. I looked up at her. My signature? Yes. Mr. Vance said you have his full authority to sign on his behalf. She replied with a professional smile. I couldn't be careless with this. I read through the documents carefully, making sure everything was in order before signing. When I finished the last one, I told the secretary she'd been a great help. She smiled and said it was her job, then gathered the files and left. Damn, it was already 6. I rubbed my temples. Being a leader was exhausting. Just as I was about to light another cigarette, my brother called. Are you here yet? You've got some nerve. You dumped a mountain of files on me. I just finished. Just finished? I already reviewed all of those. You just needed to sign them. What took so long? If you already reviewed them, why didn't you just sign them yourself? You made me read them all over again. Hey, you've been at the company for a few days. I wanted you to feel involved. Gee, thanks a million. Just get over here. Everyone's arrived. We're just waiting for you. I hung up, bolted out of the office, and drove the car Alex had left for me toward the Imperial kitchen. I parked and opened the door to the private room and froze. The table was huge and it was full. My parents, Alex and Sarah, my uncle's family, everyone was there. And there were a few other people I didn't recognize. No, wait. I recognized one of them. Claire. What was she doing here? When Claire saw me, she froze for a second, then ran over and grabbed my hand, whispering urgently. How did you know I was here? It's a good thing you came. These people I don't know keep saying weird things, like how their son or their brother and I are a match made in heaven. Leo, you have to believe me. I haven't done anything to betray you. And my dad is just playing along, even calling them in-laws. Come on, I need to set them straight. You're my boyfriend. Before I could say a word, Claire dragged me to the front of the table. Dad, Mom, all you aunts, uncles, brothers, and sisters, let me introduce you. This is my boyfriend. We've been together for over 3 years. She then turned to my parents. I'm sorry, everyone. I have a boyfriend, and he's the only one for me. So please, don't talk about me and your sons in such a familiar way. I don't want my boyfriend to get the wrong idea. Thank you. She finished by pulling me into a bow. My family just sat there, smiling at her. The strangers were silent, just watching me. I was about to explain when I felt a tug on my pant leg. I looked down. My little niece was holding onto my pants with one hand and reaching up with the other. Her voice is sweet, soft-lilt. Uncle Leo, hold me. I crouched down and picked her up. The little girl pointed a tiny finger at Claire. Uncle Leo, is that your wife? She's so pretty. Not yet, but she will be soon, I explained patiently. I looked up and saw Claire with a, I need an explanation look on her face. I took Claire's hand and led her over to my parents, introducing all the relatives at the table. As Claire heard who they were, her mouth fell open in surprise. After I handed my niece back to Sarah, I led a still-dazed Claire over to the middle-aged couple I didn't recognize. Mr. and Mrs. Sterling, hello. I'm Leo Vance, Claire's boyfriend. I wasn't aware I'd be meeting you both tonight, so I apologize for not coming better prepared. I bowed. Mrs. Sterling quickly helped me up, her face beaming. Oh, Leo, you're being too formal. Your father and we are old friends. We knew about you too after your first Instagram post. Today is just the official meeting. Claire, what are you standing there for? Show Leo to his seat. All right, Claire said, snapping out of her daze. She pulled me to the seat next to Sarah, shooting me a betrayed look. I just spread my hands innocently. How was I supposed to know? Well, old friend, the kids get along so well. We just adore Claire. Why don't we set the wedding date today? My dad boomed. My friend, we've spoiled this girl rotten. Only Leo is patient enough for her. I've been telling her for ages to bring him home for us to see. And seeing him today, he's truly an exceptional young man. We can rest easy knowing Claire is in his hands. You pick a date. We have no objections. Claire's father was just as happy. Throughout the meal, both sides praised each other's children. Claire and I just sat there, smiling awkwardly, unable to get a word in. The parents drank a lot. I saw my mom and Claire's mom clinking glasses several times. In the end, a wedding date was set, Claire's birthday. After making sure both sets of parents got home safely, we returned to our apartment. The second we walked in, my fiancée pinned me against the wall, a dangerous look in her eyes. Well, Mr. Low-key, the sole heir to Shaw Enterprises and the second son of Vance Industries is my fiancée. And here I was, worried people would say you were a freeloader. Turns out, I'm the one who married up. I chuckled and pinched her cheek. And you're no slouch yourself, Miss Sterling. The princess of Sterling Corporation, hiding in plain sight. I was all set to launch a company for you. And here you were, a mogul in disguise. Looks like I was the one being presumptuous. Claire slapped my hand away. Oomph. I don't care. You promised me that night. No matter who we were, we'd be together. I swept her up into my arms, carried her to the bedroom, and laid her on the bed. I lay down next to her, propping my head up with one hand. The last secret is out. There's nothing that can keep us apart now, my fiancé. You're right. It's so nice. For now on, let's just be open with each other. Hiding things is exhausting. I agree, I said, already unbuttoning her shirt. In the following days, we went house hunting. The renovations alone took 3 months. I designed the whole thing based on Claire's tastes. When we finally saw the finished place, the undisguised joy in her eyes filled me with anticipation for our future home. At the start of our last semester of senior year, Claire and I graduated early. Our 2 old dorm groups got together one last time as students. When they heard we had met each other's parents and were engaged, they showered us with congratulations and demanded to be our groomsmen and bridesmaids. We agreed. It was April again. Today was Claire's birthday and our wedding day. The wedding had been the talk of the town for a month. Headlines screamed, Vance Industries heir to wed Sterling heiress. The guest list was massive. With both our families being major players in Boston, everyone wanted to be seen there. We opted for a classic, grand American wedding, a timeless black tie affair that spoke to a different kind of tradition. I stood at the entrance of the historic Boston Hotel, dressed in a sharp Tom Ford tuxedo. The aisle before me was a sea of white rose petals, a testament to the scale of the event. A string quartet played softly. A vintage Rolls-Royce pulled up, and the moment it stopped, the ceremony began. I walked down the aisle to wait for her. When the doors opened, there she was, my bride, in a breathtaking Vera Wang gown, her smile as radiant as a flower. She held a simple bouquet and walked toward me on her father's arm. My 3 stooges, looking surprisingly dapper in their tuxedos, stood by my side as my groomsmen. Claire's 3 roommates were her bridesmaids, their dresses a soft blush pink, perfectly complementing the decor. I took Claire's hand from her father, and we walked to the altar. Our parents sat in the front row, beaming. My uncle, who had gotten ordained online for the occasion, stood before us. He cleared his throat and began. After we exchanged our vows and rings, he declared, by the power vested in me, I now pronounce you husband and wife. You may kiss the bride. The whole thing was finally over. I took Claire's hand, and we began to make our way through the crowd, accepting congratulations. Countless reporters and bloggers were there, live streaming the event. It quickly became a trending topic online. Wow, what a wedding of the century. So lavish. I'd marry a 60-year-old man if my wedding was like this. The sound of your abacus is so loud it's hitting me in the face. That night, back in our new home, I carried Claire upstairs. I helped her out of her wedding dress, laid her on the bed, and pulled the covers over her. She'd had a lot to drink and was dizzy but compliant, not moving a muscle. I went downstairs to make her some soup to help with the alcohol. When I came back up, she was leaning against the headboard, scrolling on her phone. Seeing me, she tossed her phone aside and pouted for a kiss. Kisses in a minute. Drink this first, and you need to drink less in the future. Claire took the bowl and down in one go. Hearing my comment, she set the bowl aside and put her hands on her hips. This is your fault. You can hold your liquor, but you pretend to have an alcohol allergy. I couldn't exactly call you out, so I had to drink all those toasts with our relatives. Besides, we finally got married today. I'm happy I stroked her head fondly. If I got drunk, who would take care of you? Since I've been with you, I haven't had a drop of alcohol. I'm afraid if I was drunk and something happened to you, I'd be useless. Because of you, I need my mind to be clear at all times. Claire wrapped her arms around me and kissed my cheek. Thank you, honey, for always putting me first. I won't drink anymore either. I'll learn from my husband. She then hooked a finger under my chin. It's our wedding night. Surely my husband isn't planning on just sitting here with me all night? Patience, my dear. Let this night remove his armor. The next day, we visited her parents, and then we were off on a month-long honeymoon in the Maldives. When we got back, Claire was in the shower, and I called my dad. Yeah, I'm not going to work at Vance. Alex is more than capable of running it. I'm going to help Claire get full control of Sterling. It's not a one-woman show over there yet. My dad agreed. Then I called my mom. I was supposed to take over Shaw Enterprises after getting married, but now I needed to help Claire. I begged my mom to hold on for a little longer. I promised her that the day Claire and I had a child would be the day she retired. After I hung up, Claire walked in. Honey, my family has disowned me. I'm unemployed. Claire came over, sat on my lap, and wrapped her arms around my neck, grinning. Great. From now on, you could be a house husband. I'll be the breadwinner. I widened my eyes in mock horror. You want me to be a kept man? I can't do that. Wait, are you hiring an assistant? That way, I could feel a little better about it. Claire tilted her head, pretending to think. I'm looking for an assistant. Assistant Vance, from now on, your job is to manage my work and my life. Let's go. Time for your first day on the job. I looked at her, confused. Start work now? It was the middle of the night. Assistant Vance, you need to understand, your job is different from others. You have multiple assistant duties. Your role as my life assistant is the most important. And that, of course, includes my sex life. That's a job only you can do. Now it's time for some overtime. And so began my life as a CEO's assistant. I'd wake my CEO wife on time, prepare breakfast, then go back upstairs to find her still in bed. I'd have to force her awake, carry her to the bathroom, hand her a toothbrush with toothpaste already on it, and then go pick out her outfit for the day. We'd eat breakfast together. Then she'd go upstairs to change and do her makeup while I cleaned up. When she was ready, we'd leave together. I'd always open her car door first, wait for her to get in, and then get into the driver's seat. In the car, Claire would kiss me and tell me how satisfied she was with her new assistant. I'd playfully tap her nose and say that as long as she was happy, I was happy. The moment we walked into the office, Claire's face would turn to ice. She'd give curt nods to employees who greeted her. Once we were in her office with the door closed, she'd let out a long sigh. I'd laugh and ask her why she'd turned back into the Ice Queen. She'd say she had to maintain her authority as CEO and told me not to blow her cover. Over time, I got used to Claire's two-faced act. As her assistant, I used my position to quickly learn the company's internal structure. My father-in-law held 59% of the shares, making him the chairman. The rest of the shares were held by 4 vice presidents. 3 of them had bought their way in and were the ones constantly giving Claire a hard time, trying to make her mess up so they could take over. The 4th VP was a co-founder who held 10% of the shares and had basically retired, collecting dividends without getting involved in company affairs. With this information, I went to work. I had my people dig up dirt on the 3 troublemakers. It didn't take long to uncover evidence of embezzlement and tax evasion. I presented them with the files and demanded they sell me their shares. Faced with no other choice, they signed the transfer documents. When I gave the documents to Claire, her jaw dropped, making a cute little O. Now, her father held 90% of the shares. The company was firmly back in their control. The 4th VP heard what happened and voluntarily resigned, transferring 5% of his shares to us for free. My father-in-law let him keep the other 5%, a nod to their old partnership. That night, my father-in-law booked an entire floor of a hotel for a huge celebration. He was in high spirits, announcing that Claire was officially taking over Sterling Corp and revealing several new partnership projects with Vance Industries. He left the stage to a round of applause. After he left, all eyes were on Claire. People flocked to congratulate her. She responded to each one, though a smile would have made it a little warmer. Halfway through, Claire said she needed to use the restroom. I went out to the balcony for a smoke, never a fan of these formal events. Because of Claire's phobia, I rarely got the chance to smoke. I was enjoying the moment when a stunning, scantily clad woman sidled up to me. Hey there, handsome. All alone. I turned to look at her, confirming I didn't know her. She continued, Do you like what you see? It's nice, I said, but what's it got to do with me? Do you want it? I do. Is that really an option? The woman let out a sultry laugh. Of course. Tell me, what do you want? My expression turned serious. I want to see our country prosper. Can you make that happen? The woman, thrown off, managed an awkward laugh. Well, I'll certainly do my part. But since we're alone, why don't we talk about something more sensitive? Sure. What are your thoughts on the situation in Ukraine? Oh, come on, not that kind of sensitive. Oh, my political affiliations are also quite sensitive. Want to discuss those? The woman's lip twitched. She looked like she wanted to leave, but couldn't bring herself to abandon such a handsome prospect. She tried again. Let's not talk about that. Let's talk about the hardest thing about you. With our country growing stronger every day, the hardest thing about me is my backbone. A strong backbone is good. So would you like to be my slave? There are no slaves in a free country. Then will you let me be your ride? Nope. Seriously? I have money. I have looks, and you're turning me down? What would it take? At that, I turned to face the south, my eyes filled with determination. Taiwan. Just then, Claire walked up and linked her arm through mine. Ma'am, please don't make things difficult for him. His heart belongs only to his country. I may not be as glamorous or as rich as you, but I will always quietly support him. I looked at Claire and had only one thought. Whatever brand of half-baked green tea you're serving, get off my wife. Ignoring the woman's stunned expression, I turned and walked away with Claire. Nice acting, honey, I said as we walked. Claire pouted. What was I supposed to do? My husband is too charming. I had to resort to desperate measures. Oh, that was a good one. The look on her face was priceless. I've learned a new trick. 2 years flew by. Under our joint efforts, Sterling Corp grew bigger and bigger. Everyone in the company knew not to mess with the CEO's assistant. During that time, we decided to try for a baby. Claire was now 4 months pregnant. After a lot of persuasion from the whole family, she finally started her maternity leave, spending her days sunbathing and occasionally getting parenting tips from my sister-in-law, Sarah. I was left to handle everything at the office. One day, I was in a meeting, listening to a project report, when my phone rang with the special ringtone I'd set for Claire. I picked it up. It was Sarah, her voice choked with sobs. Leo, quick, come to Boston General. Something's happened to Claire. I didn't ask what. I just said, meeting's over, and bolted from the room. At the elevator, I forced myself to calm down. It was a habit I'd developed over the years. When it came to Claire, I couldn't afford to panic. When I opened the door to her hospital room, my parents and Alex and Sarah were all there. Claire's parents were on their way. Seeing Claire, pale and lying in the hospital bed, I looked at a crying Sarah. What happened? My voice was terrifyingly calm. Your sister-in-law and Claire were crossing the street. A drunk driver ran a red light. At the last second, Claire pushed Sarah out of the way. She was clipped by the car. She only has scrapes, but Sarah was muttering, I'm sorry, over and over. Alex finished for her. But what? The baby's gone. We're waiting for the doctor to explain the details. I felt a wave of relief. As long as Claire was okay. I was heartbroken about the baby, but I had to be strong for her. Sarah came to me about to kneel, but I caught her. I knew she was drowning in guilt, but I also knew it wasn't her fault. Just then, a police officer came in to take a statement. I left it to Alex with one condition. No settlement, no compensation. The driver had to face the full consequences of the law. Alex nodded and led Sarah away with the officer. I asked my parents to meet Claire's parents at the entrance and to downplay the situation to avoid causing them too much alarm. Now it was just me and Claire in the room. I sat by the bed and took her hand. She opened her eyes, tears streaming down her face. I knew she had been pretending to be asleep. I knew her too well. Honey, the baby's gone. I couldn't protect our baby. I'm so sorry. I wiped her tears away. Don't say that. The important thing is that you're okay. We can always try again for another baby. I'm sure our little one wouldn't blame you. After all, their mommy is a hero. Don't think too much. You're weak right now. You need to rest. Let me handle everything else, okay? Claire nodded. I stroked her face, my heart aching. She nuzzled my hand and finally fell into a real sleep. A little while later, my parents came in with hers. Her anxious mother was about to speak, but I held up a hand. Claire just fell asleep. I whispered, she's okay, just weak from miscarriage. Could you please watch her for a bit? I'm going to talk to the doctor. Her mother nodded, her eyes full of pain as she looked at her daughter. I went out and found the doctor. He told me, the miscarriage caused some minor damage to her uterus. It will be very difficult for her to conceive again. It's not impossible, but it will be a matter of luck. She needs to rest and recover. No strenuous activity, and it's best to abstain from sex for a while. I thanked the doctor and went back to the room. My mother was quietly comforting Claire's mom. Feeling restless, I went up to the roof for a smoke and found Alex comforting a still sobbing Sarah. I walked over and handed my brother a cigarette. Sarah, don't be so hard on yourself, I said quietly. It really wasn't your fault. I'm sure if the situation were reversed, you would have done the same thing. If you really can't let it go, then you can help take care of Claire while she's in the hospital. I stayed with Claire at the hospital constantly. Sarah helped for a few days before I sent her home. Claire was a model patient, and she learned about the low probability of getting pregnant again. She acted nonchalant about it, but I knew she was secretly crying when she thought I wasn't looking. What a silly girl. Today, Claire was finally discharged. That night, at home, we had a huge fight. Claire, honey, you have to believe me. My heart belongs only to you. I was just playing around with him. I never intended for it to be serious. Me, let's just stop. The moment you chose him over me, again and again, the moment you were in his arms without a thought for my feelings, we were over. Just sign the divorce papers. Let's give each other a clean break. Claire, no, honey, I won't sign. I know the baby in my belly is his, but my heart is yours. I can't live without you. After all these years. At this, I had to cut her off. Stop. That's enough. I'm already feeling sick. What have you been reading lately? It turned out that while she was bored in the hospital, Claire had started reading novels on her phone. She'd come across some terrible romance plots that disgusted her so much she insisted we act one out to truly feel how awful it was. Clearly, she had succeeded. The memory of that little scene was still making me nauseous. I sat on the couch and took a sip of water. Claire came bouncing over and sat on my lap, wrapping her arms around my neck. Honey, do people like that really exist? What kind of people? I asked, adjusting her on my lap. You know, the main characters in those books. They're so in love. So why do they break up? Why do they cheat? I thought about it. Are they really in love? I don't think so. As for why people in love break up, it means one of them was lying. And as for why they cheat, well, if you don't love someone, you're not going to be faithful. A moment of weakness? Can't let go of an old flame? Those are just excuses for seeking thrills. Think about the stories you read. I continued. Isn't the one who gets cheated on always the one who gives everything, while the cheater is the one who just takes? When the giver finally decides to leave, the taker suddenly can't handle it. That's when you get the scene we just acted out. The person who revolved around them is gone. Life isn't as easy anymore, so of course they start to remember all the good things. A relationship isn't about falling in love. It's about all the little things that come after. Love is a two-way street. You only last if you both think about each other, understand each other, and trust each other. Take us, for example. When I cook, you're there helping. When I work, you sit quietly with me. You hate the smell of smoke, but you always have a pack of my favorite cigarettes in your purse. And so many other things. We both put in the effort. We both put each other first. That's why we never fight. That's why every day, we love each other a little more than the day before. See, Claire rested her head on my chest. We'll always be like this, honey. The thing I'm most proud of is that I always knew you were my one and only. Where else would I find a husband this good? I'm not going to be stupid like those people in the novels. I stroked her hair as she snuggled against me like a kitten. I felt a renewed determination to protect the woman in my arms. The seasons turned. In a week, it would be our 10th anniversary. After the accident, we had tried so hard to have another child, but with no luck. Still, we were patient. Claire told me this morning that she had a surprise for me on our anniversary. I was excited. I always loved her surprises. Sterling Corp, under our leadership, had risen to become the second largest company in Boston, right behind Vance Industries. The media had a field day with it, and Claire's status soared. I could finally settle into my role as a kept man. A little aside. I thought this would be a perfect place to end the story, but let's add a little spice. The other man never wins. At the office, I was in a meeting with a client when Claire called. I apologized to the client, pointed to my phone to indicate it was the CEO, and stepped outside. Hey, baby. What's up? I answered. Honey, Dad wants us to go to lunch. He said an old friend's son is back in the country, and he wants us to meet him. He said he has something to arrange. Sure, but I can't leave right now. Mister, Wong is still here. Why don't you go ahead, and I'll come as soon as I'm done. Okay. Be quick, honey. I will. Drive safe. I went back into the meeting. It took another half hour to wrap things up. I declined Mr. Wong's offer for lunch and rushed to the restaurant. When I opened the door to the private room, my father-in-law was at the head of the table. Claire was on his left, head down, scrolling on her phone. On his right was a man about my age, charming my father-in-law. Claire saw me and waved me over. I sat down next to her, and she immediately showed me a sweet romance story she'd found on her phone, exclaiming how she'd finally found a good one. I gently nudged her to sit up straight and smiled at my father-in-law. Dad, he nodded. How's work? Claire couldn't wait for you. Let me introduce you. This is Preston. He used to live next door to us. He moved abroad with his parents when he was a kid and just came back. He and Claire used to play together. Back then, your mother-in-law and I were so busy with work. His family helped look after Claire a lot. Now that he's back, I was thinking of giving him a position at the company. I listened politely, but inside I was groaning. The childhood friend has returned? Claire was just talking about the fated encounter versus childhood sweetheart trope a few days ago. And now this? The way this guy was looking at Claire was not right. Time for a preemptive strike. I extended my hand. Hi, Preston. I'm Leo Vance, Claire's husband. I'm currently her assistant at the company. The man, Preston, quickly shook my hand. Mr. Vance. Preston Cole, Claire's childhood friend. I can't believe Claire's married. And to her assistant, no less. What a shame. I thought I might still have a chance. Claire, really marrying just anyone. You couldn't have waited for me to come back. I guess it's my fault. I should have come back sooner. Oh, this guy was asking for it. Before I could retort, Claire's icy voice cut in. Why would I wait for you to come back? I wouldn't wait 1 second. Our relationship was never that serious. And for the record, I didn't marry just anyone. If you've gotten so used to being abroad that you've forgotten how to speak to people properly, then our company has no place for you. My father-in-law's expression soured. After Claire's takedown, I still wasn't satisfied. Preston, my man, you're a little off base. If you've been paying attention to the news back home, you'd know we've been married for 7 years. Coming back a few years earlier wouldn't have made a difference. Preston, seeing the tide turn against him, quickly backpedaled. Sorry, that's not what I meant. I wasn't looking down on you, Leo. I've been abroad for so long, I sometimes say the wrong thing. Mr. Sterling, Claire, Leo, please don't take it the wrong way. I was just surprised that Claire would marry an assistant. I thought she could do better. Claire jumped in again. Oh, better? Like who? You? You say he's just an assistant? She turned to her father. Dad, starting tomorrow, you can hand the company over to your son-in-law. I'm going to be busy planning our anniversary. I'm inviting all our important relatives. I have good news to announce. My father-in-law didn't bat an eye. I've been out of the company's business for a while now. You being CEO was just for show anyway. It'll be more efficient with Leo in charge. Hearing her own father call her a figurehead, Claire gritted her teeth. Fine. Then you and your highly educated friend from abroad can have a nice long chat. This figurehead and her son-in-law have things to do. She emphasized figurehead and son-in-law, and without waiting for a reply, she grabbed my arm and dragged me out. I shot my father-in-law a helpless look. Outside, Claire was still fuming like an angry toad. I stroked her head. What's wrong? Mad about being called a figurehead? Your dad was just kidding. Don't take it to heart. Come on, let's get some food. I'm starving. Claire's face instantly brightened. No matter how she was with others, she was always smiling with me. Let's go. Let's get Sichuan food. Can't let my husband starve. In a restaurant, after we ordered, Claire was still a little down. I teased her. A few days ago, you asked me about the fated love versus the childhood friend. Well, here's your chance to choose. Your childhood friend is back. What are you going to do? Claire grabbed my hand, her eyes resolute. Is that even a question? Of course, it's my dear husband. What is he? He comes in here and insults you right off the bat. If his mom hadn't been so kind to me when I was a kid, I would have had bodyguards beat him up for what he said. Her cheeks puffed out again, and I couldn't resist reaching out and squeezing them. Seeing that I wasn't taking it seriously, she continued, if he really joins the company, don't go easy on him. If he dares to pull any of the crap from those novels, I won't hesitate to send him on his way. The look in her eyes turned dark, and I thought, wow, I'd never seen this side of her before. Those trashy novels had really gotten to her. I changed my gesture from a squeeze to a pinch. All right. If he really tries to mess with us, you don't have to lift a finger. I'll handle it. That's a man's job. I suddenly remembered something. You told your dad you were going to announce good news at our anniversary party? What's so important? Claire's smile returned. I told you it's a surprise. If I tell you now, it won't be a surprise anymore. I stroked her head and told her to do whatever she wanted. The food arrived, and after we ate, we went back to the office. That afternoon, Claire made two announcements. First, she revealed my identity. Many people at the company didn't know we were married. When they found out I was the CEO's husband, there was a collective aha moment. It explained why the CEO's assistant had so much power. Second, she announced that she was stepping down to focus on other things and that I would be taking over as CEO. The employees, already aware of my capabilities and now my relationship with Claire, had no objections. One of my old roommates, Lucas, became my new assistant. I clapped Lucas on the shoulder. Work hard. When you're ready to lead, whether you want to start your own thing or head a project team, I'll support you. Lucas grinned. Don't worry, Leo. I'll do my best. But even when I'm capable, I want to stay here and work with you. That's where the future is. I just shook my head. After the announcements, Claire gave me a quick rundown in the office and then happily skipped out. I didn't get home until almost 10 p.m. It was Lucas's first day as my assistant, and I had a lot to go over with him. When I got home, Claire was in bed, leaning against the headboard on her phone. She saw me and told me to go shower. The moment I sat on the bed, she snuggled up to me. What took you so long? Any later, and the sheets would have caught fire. Had a lot to hand over to Lucas. But don't worry, I chuckled. The fireman is here to put out the fire. The next morning, I got up while Claire was still sound asleep. My back was a little sore. Claire seemed to be sleeping a lot lately. I figured it was because we'd been active. I didn't think much of it and went to the office. Lucas came in as soon as I arrived, reporting that someone had applied for the project manager position. I was confused. We weren't hiring, and we always promoted from within. Lucas explained that the old chairman had recommended him. It had to be Preston. I had to respect my father-in-law's wishes. Give him a small team, I said. Let's see what he's capable of. I sat at my desk, wondering how Preston had convinced my father-in-law. Oh well, as long as he didn't cause trouble. Just in case, I made a call to have someone dig into Preston's background. I wanted to see what kind of person dared to come in swinging like that. The person on the other end said they'd have the information in 3 days. The first day, Preston was quiet. I wasn't expecting much from him. The company didn't need his help. When I got home, I told Claire that Preston had started at the company. She wasn't surprised. Her father was a sentimental man. The next day, I was in the break room when I overheard some employees gossiping. Did you hear? The only reason Mr. Vance is where he is because he broke up Mr. Cole and Ms. Sterling. I heard that too. They said Mr. Cole came back just for her. Shouldn't you be working instead of spreading rumors? A manager I recognized from our wedding stepped out and scolded them. The gossipers scattered. The only person who could be spreading these rumors was Preston. I had Lucas post a message in the company-wide chat, introducing our new project manager, Mr. Preston Cole. Mr. Cole is a remarkable talent who moved to the United States at the age of 8 and has only recently returned. Let's all give him our full cooperation. The message sparked discussions in smaller group chats. He left when he was 8 and never came back? How could Mr. Vance have come between them? I never heard about Ms. Sterling leaving the country. This is obviously a lie. Exactly. And I heard from some of the senior staff that Mr. Vance comes from a very powerful family, and he and Ms. Sterling have been together since college. So the person spreading these rumors can only be. That's messed up. I almost believed it. Even before they announced his identity, I knew Mr. Vance and Ms. Sterling were something special. I've seen our Ice Queen CEO acting all cute and cuddly with Mr. Vance behind the scenes a few times. Ooh, really? Tell us more. I didn't know about the group chats. I was texting with Claire. She said she was coming to have lunch with me. I happily agreed. But my wife never arrived. Instead, Preston walked into my office. He leaned over my desk, looking down at me. Leo, I don't care how you got with Claire. You're just a freeloader. I'm telling you, I came back for her. There's no smoke without fire. I'm better than you in every way. Claire will fall in love with me eventually. You should leave now while you still have some dignity. The one who isn't loved is the third party. Claire and I are the real couple. I had to laugh. He didn't even do a basic background check before starting trouble. His brain wasn't working, but he'd certainly memorized the cheater's handbook. I stood up and slapped him across the face so hard he stumbled and fell to the floor, looking at me in disbelief. I walked over and looked down at him. No smoke without fire? Is there even any fire for you to be drawn to? And the one who isn't loved is the third party? Are you even qualified to be the third party? You say you and Claire are the real couple? Do you even know what makes a couple? Here, let me show you. I pulled out my phone, found the Instagram post where we announced our engagement, and shoved it in his face. See the rings on our hands? We put them on each other when I proposed. You know what that means? It means we chose each other. We love each other. And look at these pictures from our wedding. See the smiles on our family's faces? You should have heard the cheers. You know how I felt? Like I won a war. You know what that means? It means our families and friends approve of us. And this, see these 2 red booklets? Marriage certificate, stamped and sealed. You know what that means? It means we're a legally married couple, recognized by the state. I crouched down, staring him in the eye. Claire and I are recognized by the state, by our families, and by each other. You say you and Claire are a couple? On what grounds? Your words alone can't erase 10 years of our lives. Your pathetic fantasy is worthless in the face of our marriage. The more I thought about it, the angrier I got, and I slapped him again. Just then, I heard a noise behind me. I turned to see Claire standing at the door, arms crossed, watching us. Preston saw her and scrambled over to her. Claire, look at your husband. I was just telling him about our childhood, and he hit me. You can't be with a man like this. You have to divorce him. Claire took a subtle step back as he approached. I had to laugh. This was my chance. The trick Claire had taught me at the company party. I pushed Preston away from Claire and said sarcastically, Buddy, your wrong man act is a little rusty. Let me show you how it's done. I immediately put on a pathetic, wounded expression, went to Claire, and started shaking her arm. Baby, Preston just called me a freeloader. I told him I wasn't, and he kept ramming his face into my hand. Look, it's all red. Claire barely suppressed a laugh. She played along, taking my hand. Let me see. Oh, it is red. Silly, you should just let people say what they want. Look, now you've gotten yourself hurt. Preston's jaw dropped. This was nothing. I put on an even more pathetic face and hug her legs. Okay, I'll listen to you, baby. I just couldn't help it. I'm not as good as Preston. I don't have his money or his education. I just have my good looks to get by. Claire cooed. There. As long as you're a good boy, I'll make sure you're well taken care of. Really, more real than gold. Then I'll be good. I held out my hand, my voice high-pitched. Rich lady, hungry food. Claire said, okay, and pulled a black card from her purse. Here's my supplementary card. Spend whatever you want. I looked at the black card. Using my own card to be a kept man? Whatever. Preston didn't know it was mine. I took the card and kissed her on the cheek. Thanks, baby. You're the best. Preston couldn't take it anymore. Claire, why are you degrading yourself like this? You can have any man you want. Why are you supporting this? This thing? Look at me. What does he have that I don't? You've disappointed me so much. Claire looked like she was about to hit him, but I stopped her. I didn't want her to dirty her hands. She calmed down a little and retorted. Look at you? What kind of trash are you? You've insulted my husband twice now. You started the rumors in the company, didn't you? I've already had people look for evidence. Malicious slander. I wonder what the consequences for that will be. You say I'm degrading myself by supporting him? Go look around Boston. No, the whole country. And see who would dare to let the heir of Shaw Enterprises, the second son of Vance Industries, be a kept man. The thing I'm most proud of, you call degrading? Are you out of your mind? Or am I? Preston was stunned by her ferocity and the mention of my identity. He just stood there, his face a mixture of shock and rage. You're playing me? You just wait. He tried to leave, but I blocked his path. Remember, it doesn't matter if the fly meant to land on the egg or not. A fly is still a fly, and when a fly gets caught, I don't think I need to spell it out for you. I hope this is the last time I see you. Or else. I pointed to my head. He ran off without another word. After he left, Claire's expression softened. You were so commanding in there, honey. I was so moved. Huh? So you heard everything? I was just telling the truth. I heard it all. I got here right after he went in your office. I didn't come in because I wanted to see what he would pull, but your acting skills were an even bigger surprise. I bowed humbly. You flatter me, my love. It's only because I had a great teacher. We were about to go to lunch. Claire, no longer feeling the need to maintain her icy persona at the office, started joking around with me. After lunch, we went home. Claire said she was tired and wanted to take a nap. I had a pretty good idea what her surprise was. I probably knew her body better than she did. My phone rang. It was an unknown number. I went outside to answer it. Boss, I have the information you wanted. I've sent it to your email. You should be careful. Oh, that was fast. Well, The guy you're looking for has quite a record abroad. It was easy to find. You should see for yourself. Let me know if you need anything else. I hung up, got my laptop, and opened the file on Preston. Wow, this guy was something else. Preston had started gambling with the wrong crowd at 17. The debts piled up. The next day, I didn't go to the office. I was at the mall with Claire. As we passed a baby store, I instinctively started to turn toward it. But out of the corner of my eye, I saw a man in a mask and a baseball cap rushing toward us with a knife. "If I'm going down, you're coming with me," he screamed. I instinctively pulled Claire behind me and kicked out, my foot connecting squarely with his stomach. He flew backward, the knife clattering to the ground. I rushed forward and landed a few more kicks, knocking off his cap. It was Preston. I backed away, holding my hands up to the crowd that was gathering. Everyone saw that, right? Self-defense. You all saw him attack us. People in the crowd nodded, saying they'd be witnesses. Some said they'd already called the police. Preston, lying on the ground, tried to get up. A figure flashed past me. It was Claire. Seeing it was Preston, she had come closer. When he tried to get up, she ran forward and gave him a few more kicks. He collapsed again. She then mimicked my earlier pose. You all saw that, right? He was about to attack again. I was acting in self-defense. You'll all be my witnesses, right? The crowd just stared, numbly nodding. I rushed over and put one hand on her back and the other on her stomach. Claire, about to boast about her kicks, noticed my gesture. A look of resignation crossed her face. I guess I couldn't hide it from you. You always figured out. I wanted to surprise you. Can't you just pretend for once? Let me have my moment. I scratched my head sheepishly. I was pretending. That last move was just instinct. Can't you just pretend you didn't see it? Claire sighed. How did you know? I've been carrying the ultrasound picture with me everywhere, so you wouldn't find it. How long has it been since your last period? You think I wouldn't know? And you weren't worried at all? Just talking about a surprise. I figured it out. Come on, tell me how many months? Okay, you win. It's been a little over a month. Honey, you're going to be a dad again. Let's keep it a secret for now and surprise our parents later. Okay, whatever you want. As we were talking, the police arrived and took a struggling Preston away. Sir, ma'am, we need you to come with us to give a statement. After we finished at the station, we saw Preston being transferred. He saw us. I just pointed to my head. That night, I received a text from an international number, mission accomplished, with a link to a news article. Claire leaned over my shoulder as I clicked on it. A gang shootout in U.S. City. One casualty. The deceased was identified as Preston Cole, a fugitive who had been caught in the crossfire while trying to escape. Claire kissed me. Good riddance. If we weren't in such a civilized country, he would have made the news without ever leaving Boston. She went back to scrolling through pictures of baby clothes on her phone. 9 months later, in the delivery room, I cut the umbilical cords of our 2 children myself. Claire had given me twins, a boy and a girl. I stood by her side, looking at the 2 babies in their incubators. You did it, Mama. You worked so hard. Claire looked at them, her voice weak, but full of love. It was all worth it. Let everyone in, Dad. They must be going crazy out there. I gently helped her lie back down and opened the door. Our parents, Alex, and Sarah were all pacing anxiously. They rushed toward me. How is she? Boy or girl? Is Claire okay? Quiet, quiet. Come in, but be quiet. The babies are sleeping. They tiptoed in like thieves. Seeing the 2 little ones, they couldn't contain their excitement. They had known for months it was twins, but seeing them safe and sound was a huge relief. They showered Claire with praise. 25 years later, our son, Ethan, took over Shaw Enterprises, and our daughter, Lily, took over Sterling Corporation. And my wife, Claire, and I were sitting in a Ferris wheel, holding each other like newlyweds. Claire looked at me, her eyes full of love. Honey, you are my one and only. Loving you has been the greatest happiness of my life. Me too. Epilogue. Claire Story, my name, is Claire Sterling, the only daughter of the Sterling family of Boston. Because of my looks, I had a lot of admirers. But I have severe misophobia. I hate it when people get close to me. So in college, I put on a cold, unapproachable act. It worked. The first time I saw Leo Vance was at the freshman orientation. Seeing his sunny smile, his handsome face, I felt a strange desire to get closer to him. Later, at the dorm mixer, I wasn't going to go. But when I heard he would be there, I agreed. I hated the karaoke bar. When we got to the booth, my roommates abandoned me. It was Leo who invited me to sit down. Sitting next to him, The closest I'd ever been to him, I didn't feel the urge to pull away. I found myself staring at him. He caught me. I was so embarrassed. He saw that I was uncomfortable and suggested we wait outside. I agreed. In the coffee shop, he wiped down the chair for me. When I sat down, I purposely let my hand brush against his. He didn't notice, but I did. My phobia didn't react to him at all. I think I liked him. Later, we exchanged numbers and started going on dates. I asked him if he was trying to win me over. He said yes. I told him he'd have to try hard. With anyone else, I would have just rejected them. But I couldn't reject him. He noticed how my hair got in my way when I ate and always had a hair tie for me. One time, his roommate sent me a video of him seriously practicing how to style hair with a hair stick. A few days before winter break, I asked him out for the first time. I even had 2 of my high school friends there to help. The plan worked perfectly. He had learned how to do my hair for me. On the way back, he confessed his feelings for me. I said yes, but it felt rushed, so I gave him a probationary period. When I got home, I immediately went out and bought a diamond ring. The next time he proposed, he would put a ring on my finger, and I want to put one on his. I knew that love had to be a two-way street. I could feel that Leo was sincere, and I wouldn't let him down. On my birthday, I thought he'd forgotten, but he gave me a huge surprise and proposed. I said yes, and we exchanged rings. That night, I gave myself to him. I'm not a casual person. Giving myself to him was a decision I made after careful consideration. He was worthy of my trust. Later, we met each other's parents and cleared up all our secrets. After we got married and came back from our honeymoon, I overheard him on the phone with his father. From then on, I loved to secretly watch him. Every time, I discover a new side of him, and I loved every single one. At that company party, the way he cleverly handled that woman made me almost laugh out loud. Then, I had the car accident. We lost our baby. I was devastated, but I didn't want him to worry. The truth was I felt guilty. I hadn't protected our baby, but I noticed he became even more attentive. No matter what he was doing, if I called his name, he would be there in an instant. Cooking, brushing his teeth, it didn't matter. The craziest thing was he could be sound asleep, and if I whispered his name, he'd wake up immediately, his eyes bleary, asking me what was wrong. He would always play along with me. When I was disgusted by a book, he'd act out the horrible plot with me. When I asked him why people in love break up, he would patiently explain his theories. When I asked him to choose between a fated love and a childhood sweetheart, he'd say it depends on the situation. 2 weeks before our 7th anniversary, I missed my period. I secretly went to the hospital and found out I was pregnant. I was overjoyed. I planned to tell him on our anniversary. But then, my childhood neighbor came back. He insulted my husband the moment he met him. I was furious. Later, he died. I knew my husband had arranged it. He was a prince of Boston, after all. He wasn't going to let just anyone challenge him. I also overheard my husband's powerful declaration that we were a couple recognized by the state, our families, and each other. His possessive words filled me with a deep sense of satisfaction. My husband also figured out I was pregnant. He baby-proofed the entire house. He was so thoughtful. On my birthday, I announced my pregnancy to all our relatives. Everyone was ecstatic. My mother and mother-in-law moved in with us that day. From then on, I was chauffeured everywhere with a team of bodyguards. I protested, but the entire family overruled me. The babies were finally born. After they were placed in their incubators, my husband stayed by my side, constantly asking if I needed anything. While our families were cooing over the babies, he was with me. That's when I knew that no one was more important to him than I was. As the children grew up, whenever we had a disagreement about them, he would always be the first to give in. Actually, it wasn't just about the kids. Since we first started dating, he was always the one to back down in any disagreement. I asked him about it once. He said, "We're lovers, not enemies. What's wrong with backing down a little?" After our children took over the companies, we retired. We traveled the world, just like on our honeymoon. So, in this lifetime, falling in love with my husband was the best thing that ever happened to me.